Elite Facts presents
10 creepiest urban legends that will make your skin crawl. 10. The Slit-Mouth Woman. Starting off with one of the more creepy urban legends, allow us to introduce you to the Slit-Mouth Woman. This legend originated in Japan and China and is about a girl called Kushisaki Onna, also known as the Slit-Mouthed Woman. Some say that she was a samurai's wife. One day she cheated on her husband with a younger and better-looking man. When the husband returned, he discovered her betrayal. Enraged and furious, he took his sword and slit her mouth ear to ear. Some say that the woman was cursed to never die and still wanders the world so that people can see the horrible scar on her face and pity her. Some people claim that others have actually seen a very beautiful young lady wearing a surgical mask who asked them, "Am I pretty?" And once they replied positively, she ripped off the surgical mask and showed them her horrible wound. She then asked the same question, and anyone who no longer found her pretty was met by tragic death from her hands. Sometimes honesty is not the best policy. 9. The White Death. This is a story about a little girl in Scotland who hated life so much that she wanted to destroy every last trace of herself. She finally decided to commit suicide, and shortly afterwards her family found out what she had done. In a horrible twist, every member of her family died only a few days later, too, their limbs torn apart. The legend says that when you learn about the White Death, the girl's ghost might come and find you and knock repeatedly on your door. Each knock gets louder till you open the door and she kills you for fear that you'll tell someone else of her existence. Her main goal is to prevent anyone from knowing about her. Like most urban legends, this story is probably nothing more than the wild imagination of a modern Aesop, but all the same, it's always good practice to find out who's standing behind your door. 8. Elisa Day. In medieval Europe, there apparently lived a young woman named Elisa Day, whose beauty was like that of the wild roses that grew down the river, all bloody and red. One day, a young man came into town and instantly fell in love with Elisa. They dated for 3 days. On the first day, he visited her at her house. On the second, he brought her a single red rose and asked her to meet him where the wild roses grow. On the third day, he took her down to the river, where he killed her. The horrible man supposedly waited till her back was turned, then took a rock in his fist, whispering,
"All beauty must die."
And with one swift blow, he killed her instantly. He placed a rose between her teeth and slid her body into the river. Some people claim to have seen her ghost wandering the riverside, blood running down the side of her head, a single rose in her hand. 7. Well to Hell. Sometime in 1989, Russian scientists in Siberia drilled a borehole some 14.5 kilometers deep into the Earth's crust. The drill broke through into a cavity, and the scientists lowered some equipment to see what was down there. The temperature was more than 1,000 degrees Celsius, but the real shocker was the sound recorded by their instruments. They only captured about 17 horrifying seconds of audio before the microphone literally melted. Convinced that they'd heard the screams of the damned in hell, many of the scientists quit the job immediately, or at least that's how the story goes. Those who stayed were in for an even bigger shock later that night. A plume of luminous gas burst out of the borehole. The shape of a gigantic winged demon unfolded, and the words, "I have conquered," in Russian were seared into the flames. Even though today it's considered to be a hoax, there are many who believe that this incident really happened. The Well to Hell urban legend remains alive to this day. 6. Humans can lick too. If the other urban legends were creepy, this story is a surefire contender for downright scariest urban legend of all time. The story centers around a little girl whose parents are going away, and so they buy her a dog so she won't be lonely while they're gone. In the night, the girl hears a dripping noise, and so she gets up to make sure the water taps are turned off. She goes back to bed and readies herself for sleep. Her hand is hanging over the side of the mattress, and her doggy friend licks it reassuringly. But the dripping noise is still persisting, so the girl checks the taps again, then gets back in bed and doggy gives her hand another lick. This continues a couple of more times until she's had enough and goes to look for the actual source of the dripping. She's surprised that it seems to come from her closet, which she opens, only to discover her dog in there with its throat slit. With the gruesome body is a note informing the girl that, quote, humans can lick too.
5.
The Jersey Devil. Without a doubt, this is one of the more popular urban legends on this list. Well, with local New Jersey residents anyway. The Jersey Devil is a legendary creature or cryptid said to inhabit the pine barrens of southern New Jersey in the United States. The creature is often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there are many different variations. The common description is that of a kangaroo-like creature with the head of a goat, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, cloven hooves, and a forked tail. It's been reported to move quickly and is often described as emitting a blood-curdling scream. The origin of this creature is as follows. In 1735, it was said that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and after finding out that she was pregnant for the 13th time, stated that this one would be the devil. On a stormy night, Mother Leeds was in labor while her friends gathered around her. Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch, and the child's father was said to be Satan himself. Born as a normal child, the baby changed to a creature with hooves, a goat's head, bat wings, and a forked tail. Growling and screaming, it killed the midwife before flying up the chimney, circling the villages, and heading towards the pines. In 1740, a clergyman exorcised the demon for 100 years, and it was not seen again until 1890.
4.
Bloody Mary. Scratch that, this is without a doubt the most popular urban legend in existence. Seriously, who doesn't know about Bloody Mary? Historically, the ritual encouraged young women to walk up a flight of stairs backwards while holding a candle and a hand mirror in a darkened house. As they gazed into the mirror, they were supposed to be able to catch a view of their future husband's face. There was, however, a chance that they would see a skull or the face of the Grim Reaper instead, indicating that they were destined to die before they would have the chance to marry. In the ritual of today, Bloody Mary allegedly appears to individuals or groups who ritualistically invoke her name in an act of kataptromancy. This is done by repeatedly chanting her name in a mirror placed in a dimly lit or candlelit room. The Bloody Mary apparition allegedly appears as a corpse, a witch, or a ghost. It can be friendly or evil and is sometimes seen covered in blood. The lore surrounding the ritual states that participants may endure the apparition screaming at them, cursing them, strangling them, stealing their soul, drinking their blood, or scratching their eyes out. The modern legend of Hanako-san in Japan strongly parallels the Bloody Mary mythology. A modern edition of Taunting Bloody Mary regarding her baby indicates the legendary figure's conflation with the historical figure Queen Mary I, also known as Bloody Mary, whose life was marked by a number of miscarriages or false pregnancies and is remembered for her violent religious reforms.
3.
The Amityville Horror. Okay, it should be common knowledge to any fan of horror movies that the Amityville Horror films, the first two anyway, were based off of real-life events. In 1977, America was captured by the true story of a haunted house in Amityville, New York. The legend of the house, as told in the book The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, tells the story of the Lutz family, who unwittingly purchased the haunted house as their dream home in a peaceful Long Island suburb. They are blissfully unaware that the house was the home of the infamous DeFeo murders. Within days, the Lutz family is terrorized by all sorts of frightening demonic and poltergeist-type activity, including floating red eyes outside of the windows, a pit to hell in the basement, swarming flies in a bedroom, black ooze coming out of the toilets, and a voice that tells them to get out. While it has never been conclusively proven that the story of the Amityville Horror is untrue, subsequent owners of the house have had no otherworldly experiences in the house, and the Lutz family now says that their story is mostly true. There are a number of experts who believe that the story is a hoax, while a number of others feel the house is indeed haunted. Chances are the story of the Amityville Horror may have some elements of truth that have been embellished in the retelling over the years.
2.
The Choking Doberman. In this tale, a lady arrives home to discover her Doberman in trouble. It appears as though the dog is choking, so she rushes him to the vet, who admits the dog and sends the owner home to wait for his call. The vet performs an examination to find that the dog has been choking on 3 human fingers. The vet phones the owner to warn her that there may be an intruder in her house that's short a few fingers. She phones the police, who come to her house to investigate. When they search the house, they discover the mutilated body of a burglar in the closet, having apparently been mauled and killed by the woman's dog.
1.
The Wendigo. This horrifying, demonic hybrid half-beast creature is cannibalistic and has been haunting the Algonquin peoples along the Atlantic coast for a very long time. Legend has it that humans have the ability to turn into the Wendigo if they ever resort to cannibalism or become possessed by the demonic spirit of it. Wendigos are typically portrayed as giants, about 3 times larger than humans, that are starving and ravenously hungry and are always on the hunt for new victims. The legend lends its name to the disputed modern medical term Wendigo psychosis, which is considered by psychiatrists to be a form of culture-bound syndrome, with symptoms such as an intense craving for human flesh and a fear of becoming a cannibal. The legend stems from the Algonquin folklore along the Atlantic coast and Great Lakes region of both the United States and Canada from thousands of years ago.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.